Let's review one of the most beast mode fragrances ever created, red tobacco. Hey, what's going on? Hunter here and welcome back to my channel. And if you are new, what I do is I make fragrance related content. So you know what to do. Hit the subscribe button down below if you love fragrances and make sure to follow my Instagram page. But that's right guys, today I have in my hands one of the most popular from the house of Mancera and an absolute nuclear fragrance, red tobacco. Now red tobacco has been a Mancera that's been on my wish list for a very long time. Even once I started to finally get into fragrances a few years ago. And I saw a bunch of people talk about this one and I finally got this bottle not too long ago, but I'm so happy I have this to add to my Mancera collection. Now let's go over some information about red tobacco. Now this beast was created back in 2017, so it's honestly not too old. As far as the retail price goes for the 120 ml bottle, is gonna run you $180, which I think is a very reasonable price, especially when it comes to niche fragrances, and you are also getting a lot of juice with that 120 ml. So no complaints at all with the pricing, and of course you can find these discounted heavily. The concentration is an eau de parfum, even though this stuff actually wears like an extrait. And for the perfumer, it might be Pierre Montal, who creates most of the fragrances for Mancera and Montal, but it is pretty much unknown. Now with all that information out of the way, let's go look at the packaging and presentation you get with red tobacco. Okay, now taking a look at this box, if you've seen one Mancera box, you've pretty much seen all of them. They are very similar. Of course, you have red tobacco right there with their kind of sticker. On the bottom, you will find your batch code and some information. On the back, you do have your barcode right there to authenticate your product and see when it was produced, and these are made in France. And inside the box, you do actually have a Mancera pouch, which is nice to carry around your fragrance and keep it away from sunlight. So let's look at the bottle now. All right, looking at this beautiful red bottle, guys. This is probably one of my favorite bottles from Mancera. I love that red glass. I think it looks awesome. Of course, you have the sticker of the red tobacco that resembles the box. On the bottom, you do have etched into the bottom is your information as well. And these bottles are a little bit different than the originals. You do have that gold kind of base there. Nothing on the back. On top, you do have the Mancera kind of new logos. Even though this is a screw-on cap, the new ones are no longer screw, they are magnetic, which I wish this one was because those atomizers are 10 times better. Nothing inside the cap, nothing on top of the atomizer. And these do screw on very tight, but if you tighten it too much, you can actually rip this off and spill your fragrance, so just be careful with that. In the top, you have cinnamon, oud, saffron, incense, nutmeg, green apple, and pear. In the mid, you have patchouli and jasmine. And in the base, you have tobacco, vanilla, amber, sandalwood, gaiac wood, musk, and vetiver. And this would be classified as a spicy sweet. So let's spray this and test out these old school Mancera atomizers. Not the best atomizers at all, as you can see from that spray. And thankfully, they upgraded those not too long ago. So let's go ahead and smell this absolute iconic opening of red tobacco. This opening of red tobacco is not for the newbies just getting into fragrances, because this will be very off-putting to you. This is for the well-versed in fragrances and a trained nose to actually appreciate this opening, because it does come across very harsh. To me at least, I get this very spicy and dry opening, and that's coming from the cinnamon and that saffron note. Now, I love saffron. Saffron always gives this a luxurious vibe anytime it's added to a fragrance, and you definitely get a ton of saffron in the opening. And that's probably where that red bottle is actually coming from as well, or the name red tobacco is from that saffron note. If you've ever smelled like Maison Francis Kurkdjian's Baccarat Rouge 540 in that red bottle right there, that does have a dominant saffron note. So if you're familiar with that, you'll know that note and you'll detect it in here without a doubt. And a quick fact, saffron is actually the most expensive spice in the world. It's so expensive by the ounce, it's even more than gold. So that's why I say every time it's added, it always brings this kind of luxurious vibe. Now what's bringing that harshness is definitely the mixture of that saffron and cinnamon, but you're also gonna get this very smoky incense note. Now, it's not really like a warm incense at all. It's very smoky and very sharp. And honestly guys, the top of this isn't really blended the best. It has a lot of rugged edges to it, and doesn't really come across smelling like really natural or anything along those lines, which honestly a lot of Manceras don't, unfortunately. They are very synthetic for the most part. And that's usually why they're known for being beast mode performers, is because of the synthetics they use in their fragrances. Now, it doesn't mean synthetics are bad. I love synthetics. They have a purpose. They have a reason to be in fragrances. But I also love naturals as well. And you feel like you're getting more of your money's worth when you have a more natural smelling fragrance. But you do need synthetics to boost the performance. Even though for the most part of the opening of red tobacco is very spicy, dry, and smoky, you also do have a fruity touch in the background, and that's coming from that apple. You do get a burst of this very sweet, fruity apple. Not so much of that pear, but you will get the apple for sure in the background. And I think it works wonderful alongside that cinnamon, the saffron, and that incense. Now, you will also notice that oud's listed in the top notes of red tobacco, which it is also there, but it's there very faintly, and it starts to come out stronger and stronger and stronger as it starts to dry down and settle. Once we get our way into the mid of this fragrance is where it starts to get even better with that patchouli. Now, I honestly love the way that Mancera and Montal do their patchouli. It's very earthy. Patchouli is one of my favorite notes of all time, definitely in the top 3, and it's done so well in this creation, guys. And basically the mid is just a patchouli bomb. I don't really get any jasmine at all, so if you see that jasmine, you're like, oh, I don't like jasmine, don't worry, because it's not there, or at least it's very hidden in the background, just giving it a slightly more characteristic. But if you are a patchouli lover like myself, you'll love this fragrance, especially once it starts to dry down and you get into that mid, is where you're like overthrown with a burst of patchouli, and it's the exact way I love it to be. Very earthy, very green. And patchouli is actually known to smell like hippies and stuff, which it definitely does give off that sort of vibe, especially the way it's done in here, so just keep that in mind. Once we finally make our way into the base of red tobacco is where this fragrance was created for, with that tobacco note, obviously hence the name. And with the tobacco, you get a very kind of cherry piped, dry, earthy tobacco note. I absolutely love tobacco in fragrances. Even though I'm not a smoker, I've never smoked in my life, I did actually grow up with family members that did smoke a lot when it comes to cigarettes, cigars, and things of that nature. So it is very kind of nostalgic for me and stuff. So I always am a sucker with a good tobacco in a fragrance, and in here it's done phenomenal. It's funny because I know a lot of you guys commented on red tobacco, like on my Instagram and stuff like that, saying it smells like an ashtray. I can definitely see where they're coming from just because of how kind of dry and smoky this fragrance comes across. And that tobacco is very kind of realistic smelling as well. So it does have that very dry ashtray vibe. But it's not literally like you're just smelling an ashtray. There's a lot more going on in this fragrance, but that tobacco, it definitely gives that kind of nuance. Now, of course, alongside that tobacco in the base, you are gonna get this very creamy, warm, spicy vanilla. And tobacco and vanilla go hand in hand. Of course, you may think like Tom Ford Tobacco Vanille. This smells nothing like that one. This one's way more complex than Tobacco Vanille. But the way the tobacco and vanilla is combined in the base is to die for, guys. Now, along with those two notes is when that oud actually shines the most, is in the base of red tobacco. And it gives you that Mancera signature oud, which I think they do really, really good, especially at this price tag. I'm really familiar with the way they do their ouds because I have quite a few, like Montal Intense Blackout Oud. I have Mancera's Oud Exclusive. I have Mancera's Oud Lemon Mint. Of course, red tobacco. So yeah, you're definitely gonna get that signature well-known oud in this one as well. And just to wrap things off in that base, you are going to get a slight animalic kind of smoky leather note, but that's not coming from a leather note itself. It's actually coming from gaiac wood, which does give a leather vibe when you smell gaiac wood. It's a very dark kind of wood that just smells like leather for some reason. Just a fragrance that has a ton of characteristic, a ton of personality, and pretty complex, even though you may not think so when you first wear it. It definitely does have layers to it. Of course, opens up very sharp, spicy, dry, and smoky. Dries down to that earthy patchouli. And in the base, you're gonna get that very dry cherry pipe tobacco with a creamy, spicy vanilla with that leather nuance and that signature Mancera oud. So if that sounds good to you guys, this is a must. Now let's talk about the best seasons and occasions to wear red tobacco. Of course, guys, going off the way I described this fragrance, obviously it's gonna work for the colder months, fall and winter strictly, guys. Not even springtime, really, nowhere near going to the summertime. This stuff will become way too cloying, way too sweet on skin. And when it comes to occasions, this one is kind of weird because naming those notes, you may not think it would work best in like a formal situation, but it actually does, especially if you know how to wear this one. If you're a real like masculine guy, you can easily wear this one dressed up in like a suit, a dress shirt, etc. without any problems, guys. So it definitely could be pulled off as a formal setting fragrance. Now, casual could also be worn as casual, but for some reason, to my nose, it does lean a little bit more on the formal side. For gender and age groups, honestly, I have seen women wear this one and love it, but I would say it may be unisex, leaning on the masculine side. There's nothing that screams feminine about this at all. If you are a woman and you do like more kind of masculine fragrances, you absolutely could pull this one off, but at the end of the day, it's more on the masculine side of things. For age groups, this is without a doubt a more mature fragrance. I cannot imagine a teenager walking around smelling like red tobacco, like going to high school or anything like that. So yeah, definitely more on the mature side. I would say probably like anyone in their 20s and up, not necessarily a teenage fragrance at all. I cannot imagine if I was actually still in high school and I had the fragrances I have now, wearing this one, the class guys, yeah, you would get kicked out and probably get called down to the principal office. So yeah, if you're a teenager watching this one, you're still in high school and stuff, this probably is not for you. There's much better options, especially even from Mancera, that is more targeted for a younger audience. Now for probably the moment you've all been waiting for is the performance, because this is of course known to be a beast mode fragrance, probably one of the strongest fragrances ever made. That's the kind of reputation red tobacco has gotten over the years. That reputation is well worth it, guys. This is above average without any hesitations. Nuclear beast mode fragrance. This is the kind of fragrance you spray on your skin and you're gonna be stuck with it all day long, pretty much 12 plus hours. And even at that, you're gonna have to shower and scrub your skin consistently until you finally start to get this off your skin, because once you spray this, this is gonna be with you for a long time. And for clothes, just forget about it. You're gonna have to wash your clothes multiple times to try to get this out of it, guys, because like I said, this stuff is just stuck with you when you spray it. It just wears very, very thick. This is the kind of fragrance when you walk into a room, it's gonna outpower everybody else's fragrance that's around you. It pretty much just demands dominance, like I'm here, look at me, I'm not playing around. And you don't even have to spray a lot to have that effect either, which is always nice. Yeah, 12 plus hours of good longevity on skin. When it comes to projection, I get around up to 6 hours of good projection off of your skin, especially once your skin heats up. Yeah, this stuff just screams off of it. And at a very long distance as well, probably over an arm's length from my testing, guys. And the scent trail that it leaves behind you, the scent sillage, is incredible as well. This stuff smells so good in the air. It's honestly not as off-putting or harsh as when you smell it up close or on a strip or anything like that. It's much kind of more smooth and even could be slightly crowd-pleasing as well. Depending on the person, of course, like a woman that likes kind of mature, smoky, gentleman, masculine tobacco fragrances, she would like this one. But others, not so much. When you wear this one, just know who you're gonna be around is all I gotta say. But that's gonna do it for my review of the one and only red tobacco. Let me know down below if you ever tried this one, what you think about it. I'm really curious. But besides that, leave a like on the video, subscribe if you guys haven't already, and I'll see all of you back here in my next upload. Take care, everybody.